Hey, what's up? It's Hillary. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I've got you set up where you are today because we are going to be doing some moving in, some building, some organizing, rearranging. This area behind me is a mess. In fact, my whole room is a mess. But right here is going to be my desk and craft area. And then on this wall will be my bookshelves. So that's what I'm gonna try to tackle today. I'm gonna see how much I can get done and take you along with me. Here we go. All right, this is the area we are going to be focusing on today. There's currently just stuff everywhere. Let me kind of lay out my plans. So I'm thinking that this desk here, I wanna push all the way to the corner, and then I wanna bring this desk to that wall. So it'll make an L over there with the desks. And then I'm gonna use this wall for bookshelves. You can see the boxes just laying everywhere. I got some Billy bookcases from IKEA, and holy crap, those things are heavy. I've seen so many people use those and I've never heard anyone talk about how heavy they are. It was really difficult getting it onto the cart in the store, getting into my car, and then up the stairs here was such a pain. Okay, and then I also have these. They're not Calyx boxes. They're, I don't know, Cat or something like that. But I'm hoping the Calyx inserts will work because I want to make them useful for craft storage. And then I got an Alex, I don't know, drawer system that I want to use for craft storage because this right here is a lot of my craft storage. Let's see what we can do because I am really sick of this room being such a mess. Okay, I don't normally like to hold my mic like this. I usually like to have it on my shirt, but for this video I think I'm gonna have to because the air and the fan are on in here. It is way too hot to turn them off, so I'm gonna use this and hope you can hear me okay. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is move this desk into the corner and then move this desk over and just make sure that it looks the way that I'm kind of picturing it looking, or figure out if I need another plan and then go from there. While I'm doing this, I'm going to be listening to the audiobook for Starshipped. I got it as an advanced listener copy on NetGalley. It's a contemporary romance by Cat Sebastian, who typically has written historical romances, so I'm curious to see how much I like her contemporary. I feel like I'm just stalling at this point, so let's go. All right, I really like what we're doing so far. We have this desk set up so that it lines up here with this desk. And then I have this in the corner, which can move up and down. So it can kind of be in that corner instead of having to line the desks up. And then my chair will hopefully be able to move pretty easily between the desks. All right, I'm gonna hook up some outlets. All right, we have hit a snag because I have these 3 cubes that are the Cat cubes, and I thought they were the same measurement as a calyx system, so I bought 3 calyx inserts and they're too big. These are smaller, so I either need to return these, but then there aren't that many options for inserts for these cubes. Like, I really wanted to organize my scrapbook paper and things like that in these inserts, or I get rid of these and buy the calyx shelves, or I can figure out some way to use these just as, like, maybe I can sit them like that and use them as storage. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Okay, it is now several hours later, like 8 hours later, maybe. And the shelves are done. They are up, they are anchored in the wall, they are balanced, all of the individual shelves are in. Yeah, this took a long time between the office drawers and these shelves. Like I said, I think it was maybe 8 hours of assembly without much break. I definitely did not expect it to take that long. I'm not really sure why it took that long because it was pretty easy. It just was a lot of steps, and I finished the entire audiobook for Starshipped. I really loved it. Well, I really loved the book. The audiobook narrator was interesting. I don't think I enjoyed the audiobook narrator. In fact, I almost DNF'd this book the first time I heard the narrator talking in chapter 1, and it is the same narrator for the whole book. It's not like dual POV or anything like that. His voice is just very dramatic. And yeah, sometimes sounded kind of like they were trying to do a New York accent. I guess these characters were in New York for part of the book, but there was no reason for them to have a New York accent. But okay, beyond the audiobook narrator, this book was so sweet. Yes, I really loved their story. So it's basically 2 male actors who co-star on a sci-fi television show. There were a lot of references to like Star Trek Voyager and Battlestar Galactica and things like that. So that kind of vibe for a show. And in the beginning, they kind of struggled to work together, but over time they get to know each other, and they work together on set with each other for 7 years. And it's kind of known that one of the characters is just hard to work with and a little bit difficult, but we find out he has a lot of anxiety and mild OCD and suffers from really bad migraines. And so, it's not necessarily an excuse for some people would say he's mean, but really he pushes people away and is a loner because he doesn't want to burden anyone with his struggles. Yeah, I really liked how it was sort of a slow burn throughout the book. They didn't necessarily like each other in the beginning, but they weren't like enemies or anything like that. But then slowly throughout the course of the book, they were getting to know each other. One of them went with the other to deal with a family matter, and they got a lot closer on that trip. And by the end, it was just very cute. By the end, they were very supportive of each other, and the main character was, learning how to let someone help him when he was struggling. I personally really loved and appreciated the migraine representation. I also suffer from migraines, and in fact, a few years ago, was hospitalized for migraines, and for about a year and a half leading up to the hospitalization, just was suffering from a lot of migraine related symptoms, specifically vestibular migraines. So I was constantly feeling vertigo and nausea and things like that. It made things like flying and taking public transportation very difficult. I did live in Chicago at the time, so I ended up taking a lot of ride shares because I couldn't really get on a train or a bus without getting extremely nauseous, and working through a whole scenario in my head of like, okay, if I got sick, where would I get sick? What would be the best place to get sick? Could I get off at the next stop? That whole mindset honestly just made it worse. And this character talks about that. One of the things with riding on the bus in the morning is that the sun would be shining through the window, but then it would filter through the trees, and it would almost be blinking like a strobe light with the sun going between the trees. And that was really triggering for me. And he specifically talked about that, about the trees when driving being a trigger. He also talked about how it was a struggle to fly, and that whole process of thinking of like a plane is the worst possible place to get sick, and how he had had experiences getting sick on planes before, and so had I. And it was honestly pretty traumatizing. So that was extremely relatable. So I loved the book, even though I didn't like the narrator. So I definitely recommend checking out the book, but I would say read the physical book, not the audiobook. I don't think I cared about the voice really because I was just focused on getting things done. And like I said, I finished the whole audiobook in the time it took me to put together these shelves and to move around the desks and to build the drawers by the desk. We did run into that snag with the little storage cubes. I think I'm going to get rid of those and try to get a calyx unit because there is a place where I think it would fit nicely. So that is where I'm going to end this video. I unfortunately do not have enough time left in the weekend. I do go back to work tomorrow to get all the books on the shelves. So that will be a part 2. video that I will be posting in the future. I hope that you'll come back and check it out. In fact, if you're not already subscribed, please consider doing so. And if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. I will see you in the next video. Bye.